Hey guys, this is Oshi and this is going to be a little unusual video for me because I know other people do similar videos, but I don't think I ever done anything where I talked about decks that I'm not really getting along with or I haven't worked with enough, and I'm unsure, like the title says, about them, and if I want to keep them, if I'm missing some important detail about them, or something else which I will talk about when we get to the decks. I have a few decks that I realized when working with them that they were not for me. Most of them are already gone, so I missed out on a chance of a big declutter video. It's mostly because I wasn't really thinking about letting the decks go, but opportunities came to most of them were, to give them away, or there was someone who was interested in them getting, and I was like, you know what, you're right, I don't even need them anymore. So the decks were gone, which is, like, I think it's fine. But yeah, that made me think about all my decks in my collection and I started to check in with how I feel, and some of these might be going out as well. If someone says that, oh, they want it probably helps to make that decision, not gonna lie. But some may be just missing some extra information, or I don't even know. What I'm trying to say is that if you have any of these decks and you have an amazing experience or you have a terrible experience, if you have any kind of an experience with any of these decks, please do let me know why and how it works for you, or if it's not, why, because there might be something that I'm missing completely, and that would help me, some extra information or some outside resources or whatever. So yeah, so let's just start with, and I'm not going through them in any particular order. It's just how they were on my shelf, pretty honest, to be honest. Pretty much, and to be honest, smashed together. So the first one is the Llewellyn Tarot, and I know I know people are gonna be like, what? And this is a beautiful deck, and I bought this one pre-trimmed, or it was already trimmed, which I kind of liked because I didn't have to do that, because sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's a bother. But I edged it with a yellowish kind of color and added some gold because I think it suits the deck, and I like the size, and I like the I kind of like the art. I mean, not kind of, I really like the colors, the warmth of the watercolor. And I'm not gonna say that it's not a beautiful deck, because it's a beautiful deck, but I never reach for it. And I think here's the big book, which I think I only I stopped. Oh, look, some other bookmark. But yeah, I started working with the guidebook, because I was like, I'm keeping this so I can highlight things in it, which might have been a mistake now, but you never know. So I'm like card 2 maybe, like I'm in the High Priestess, so card 3. So there's not a lot of time spent with the guidebook. It's a great guidebook. I love the mythical aspect of the deck, but I never reach for it. And the main reason why I wanted this deck, I think, was because of Dawn Michelle. I'm gonna blame Dawn Michelle, because she's always so excited to talk about this deck. And oh look, there's something. Okay, lol, we have the 8 of Pentacles backwards. Do you want to tell me something, deck? She's always so excited about this deck, because it's one of her, I don't know if she calls it a soul deck, but something like that. It's a very important deck for her, and I realized that sometimes I get decks because of how other people talk about it, because I want that experience with the deck too, which no one says that I can't have And I'm not saying that I definitely want to get rid of this deck. It's just that, I don't know, ever since I got it, I probably used it like, I don't even know, a few times. And then I was on to the next one, which, it happens. So I'm not saying it's, it's a surprise. But this was supposed to be a summer deck, and it really gives off that summery vibe for me. And yet, I don't have it on my table. So yeah, I'm unsure if I just need to work with it, because I'm not in a rush, to let it go. I'm just not sure if I'm holding on to because I want someone else's experience to be like magically happen. Because I'm not sure that I will have that same experience, or I don't even know what I meant to say. What was the other option? Yeah, I'm after work, so my mind is a bit, used up. But that's the first deck when I'm like unsure. I don't wanna, none of these decks are for sure going anywhere. I'm just looking at them when I look into my cupboard, and I'm like, do I wanna use you? And so far, I always pulled out something else. But maybe I just need more time to work with it. I don't know. Next one is the joie de vivre, which I'm sure you don't say it like that. I hate this dog box. This is one of the worst ones ever that I had. If I remember correctly, the little white book was quite good. I absolutely adore the artwork. As you can see, I trimmed it, but I just simply, the few times that I used it, I didn't really feel anything special when I was doing the reading. And this was one of those decks when I was sure that because of how many details you get with a card, there's so much things that you can look at, that in a reading, I would be absolutely using all those, little intricate things. And I love this Temperance. I love the art style. I really love her art style. And I really wanted the Phantasma Tarot as well. But I mean, after I got this, which I was sure it's gonna be my, one of my staple decks, and I'm not really getting a lot out of the deck itself during readings, because obviously I can read with it. I can, at this point in my practice, I can read with any decks, because I can apply the basic meanings of each card to a reading. So, I can read with anything. I can read with piece of papers, written the names on them. I think most of us are like that after a while. But I love the art for that reason, that you can get extra information out of a deck if you do that, if you're connecting with the artwork. But with this one, it's just not happening. So, and I don't know, again, I don't know. Maybe part of it is that every time I hold up the box, I get annoyed with how flimsy it is. And that's real. Honestly, every time I pick up the deck, I get annoyed a little because of the box. So I definitely, need to make a little pouch for this one. And if I decide to, let it go, then the pouch can go with it, because, it's a special size right now. But yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Like, do you have any, maybe I should have asked this in the beginning, but do you have any special practice that you can do with decks you're not immediately connecting to, or do you just accept your losses and move on? How do you deal with, something like that? Another one was the White Numen, or is the White Numen. I was very excited for this one. It's a Liminal 11 deck. I loved the art style. So most of the decks, why I'm getting them is because of the art style. But I kind of felt like I was missing out on information for the deck, because this is more different. Like, there are Numens which are like, ooh. I mean, I was going through the little hard book today, and I think they were called Newmans. Are they kind of like deities or some sort of a shamanistic mythical element? I cannot remember exactly. Newman, a Latin word connected with divinity, here within the image of sacred animals. Oh, of course, I mean, it's the sacred animal tarot, duh, but I wasn't thinking about that. Image of sacred animals from whom ancient religions evolved. And I guess when I was, looking through it at the first time, I wasn't really paying attention to how the creator was like, nope, I'm not gonna give you too much meanings for the cards because I want you to discover it for yourself. Because I felt like, and I absolutely adore this Lovers card, okay? I just love their body language. I don't know why. I love it. And, when I was first looking through it, I was like, okay, but it differs a lot. Look at the Seven of Swords. From the regular meaning, which is why I was interested in this deck. Like, look at that chicken. But I felt like I needed the extra information to be able to read the cards, and I wasn't getting it. So I was like, will I ever, be able to read with it, or will I feel frustrated because of not knowing why certain changes were made with the cards. Plus the aces are pretty much all the same, which is a little bit, it's bothering me a little bit because I like the aces to be. I'm trying to find another ace. The High Priestess, at first I wasn't on board with her, but then I was like, okay, I'm actually really liking her. Where's another ace? There will be some aces at some point. So, again, I lost my train of thoughts because I'm looking for something else. So, what was I saying? I didn't know if I would feel frustrated with not knowing all the time and feeling like I'm not getting as much out of these cards because I don't have a knowledge on, too similar for me, on the cards imagery as I would get with other decks. But then I just read it today, this part of the guidebook where it was like, nope, I want you to connect with however you connect with these energies. And I was like, okay, that's a completely fine, explanation. I wasn't paying attention, so I apologize, deck. And I don't know, reading the entries for a few cards, today I kind of changed my mind because there's more in the text than I got out of it at the first time when I looked at it. So I'm more optimistic about this. Look at that, another one. Like, I'm more optimistic right now with this deck than I was before. But I'm still unsure. If I'm the unsureness of it comes from the fact of, do I even know enough about? I don't know enough about sacred animals. So, like the cow, okay, I know the Indian, being a sacred animal there. I know cats were sacred in Egypt, and pretty much that's about it. So, and there's a white Newman and a black Newman somewhere. Am I just keeping it because it's pretty, but I'm not gonna be able to read with it as well as I would? I don't know. Again, maybe it's just I need to spend some dedicated time with the deck. That could be an easy solution for it, but we're talking about decks I'm unsure of. So if you have this deck, because that's another thing, a lot of people were excited about this deck when there was a pre-order and it was coming out, and I should have said it in a different way, damn. But after that, I managed to, okay, I'll fix this later. After that, I didn't really hear about it from people, you know, how it's worked for them. That's what I hate. There's just so much more video needed on, you know, decks are actually working, or, you know, even if they are short ones, you know, people are like, this is a deck that works for me because 3 things. Awesome. I think those videos would be so interesting to watch. So, you know, if you have something like that, please do let me know. Okay, moving on, because it's probably gonna be a long one. And there is a big ass rain cloud outside, so I'm assuming it's kind of dark here. Another one, I don't have the big box here because it's in my cupboard, is the Heavenly Bodies Astrology deck. I definitely picked this one up because I wanted to learn astrology. I'm kind of, you know, putting that as a back burner right now, because I'm like, who has that time right now? I do not have time for it. Why is it upside down? Who knows? And I absolutely, this is a useful deck or usable deck even if you don't know a lot about astrology, because you get really good keywords here. So even if I, you know, don't ever learn anything about astrology, I can get Taurus, it's trust, patience, and sensuality. I can use that in readings. But, and I, you know, I kind of like the aesthetic of the deck. But the big but here is that ever since I got the Astro Code, the Star Codes Astro Oracle, which I absolutely hate the card stock. It's already started to warp in a stupid way, like the 2 corners opposite each other. I don't know if you can see it. I mean, can you see how like warpy they are already? This is how they like just separate. I hate that. And they are bigger, so much bigger. This has a nice cardstock. I trimmed it so it's the perfect size. But the artwork on this one, and you know, it has good keywords. It's just so good, and I love it. That ever since I got this deck, I don't think I even, you know, pulled this one out. So with this one, I definitely have something that I replaced it with already. But I don't know if it's stupid to let go of a deck that maybe at some point could be a good tool for learning astrology. But at the same time, is it stupid to hold on to a deck that, you know, I might learn in the future? Because who knows when will I have time to learn astrology, and maybe by that time I will have something even more special, or a deck out there that I'm feeling more attracted to, that will make me want to learn, you know. So I don't know. I honestly don't know if I should keep this one, especially because I have the other deck. Do let me know how you deal with your astrological decks. Next one is the Goddess Temple. This was a deck that I picked up because I really wanted to, you know, work with some goddess energy. I was hoping that I would, you know, find one that would want to work with me, pretty much. That didn't really happen. I love the art style. Who's surprised? It's art, you know, it's watercolor. But the keywords are not always easily usable in readings, because it's specifically about goddesses, so you can learn about them. Yeah, Brigitte, that's why I wanted her to work with me. You know, so it's for learning. It's, I think, more so than just, you know, right away being able to use it. But because I didn't meet any goddess along the way, none of them were like, hey, I want you to work with me. And I didn't want to push this because that just felt fake. You know, every time I hear about someone's experience with working with this energy, it's always happening naturally and organically, and it didn't happen for me. So even though this is a beautiful deck, I don't see the point, you know, hoping that one day it will work. But maybe, I don't know. Again, some advice on how do you deal with decks that you picked up for a specific purpose, but that purpose didn't work. How do you deal with those? Maybe this one will go, I don't know. I mean, it's beautiful, but if I'm not using, I use more, you know, I'm more picky about my Oracle decks these days than I was. Maybe it's because I'm making them, so I, you know, I can be like, if I don't have a specific deck, then I create one. And I create it in a way that will for sure work for me because I'm making it. So, you know, that's that luxurious option, I guess. Next one, Queen of the Moon Oracle. I love Stacey DeMarco's decks because of the art style, which was, you know, done by Kinga Bridgki. And she's you know, she's Hungarian, so I mean, I think she just moved to the US. I don't think she was born there, which is, you know, like a really big plus. But, and I you know, I had good experience with this deck, so it's a great deck one. I love the keywords. I love the art style. It's the right kind of digital collage for me, but I just don't use it, to be honest. And I think I talked about in my few months in video with this deck that with all the moon phases, if you don't use this deck for a while, you will, I mean, that's just me. If I don't use this deck for a while, I will forget what like the waxing crescent means, or where's another one? Like the harvest moon is, okay, it's fruition, but I kind of forgot the moon aspect. Like waxing crescent means nothing to me. I don't know, like the waxing is the shrinking or is the getting bigger part, because I don't know, for some reason my mind doesn't, I mean, it refuses to learn the meaning of waxing and waning moon. I don't know why, because I looked them up quite a few times. But my mind is like, nope, I'm not learning that meaning. So I love this power. It's beautiful. So yeah, again, just for the art style, I'm not sure if I, you know, want to keep it, even though this works very well in the wintry months. It pairs really well with my deviant moon. So, you know, maybe it's just that it's not time for this deck yet, and maybe I will be, you know, excited to work with it in the wintry months. We'll see. Like I said, I'm not in a hurry of getting rid of any of these decks. There's only a few more left, so let's just check if I'm still recording. Yes, I'm just like, because of how the setup is right now, I cannot see if I'm recording or not. Okay, this one was it's an indie deck I got from Etsy. It always, you know, 50% off, which is a very smart, you know, like tactic, because even though I think this might be, you know, I don't know if it's legal even to, you know, just offer something like discounted when it wasn't ever full priced, because it kind of feel like just cheating, but whatever. So I specifically got this because of my channel for pick a card readings, because it looks nice. I liked the simplicity of the artwork. It's a very pippish deck. Even the majors are like the Hierophant. Look at that. You know, it's not very detailed, even though it's embellished, if that makes any sense. So there's not a lot on the cards, but they are intricate and you know, embellished, and it would look so nice with actual gold foiling. I wouldn't even think about getting rid of it, if it was. And I got good readings out of it, but I used it more as a, I have 8 of Cups. What does the 8 of Cups mean? Because I couldn't really pull anything from the imagery. The cardstock is weird. It's a laminated, homemade, whatever cardstock, but it's a good one, and you can easily shuffle it. So I have no complaint in that, area. It kind of feels weird when you first get it out of the pouch, because it's not my usual one, and you can tell on the top that it's been home cut, or like the machine they are cutting it has some little issues, but it's still a good quality deck. It's worth the price, so I'm not disappointed with it, but I just don't use it. So I gave up that idea of I'm not even sure if it was an idea. I put the expectation on me that, I need to have beautiful, aesthetically pleasing decks on my channel for pick a card readings, because those people that I watch uses all those beautiful indie decks, and if you can't afford the Moonchild or something like that, you buy something like this. But then I was like, after a while, I was just like, I don't care. My readings are not gonna get any better if, just because my decks are like really expensive. It's stupid. They are working if they are working, and if they are not working, then they are not working. Doesn't matter how much they cost. And I'm a visual person in a sense that I like drawing in extra information from the cards, and I'm not getting that, or not a lot. I'm not saying nothing, because sometimes there's an eye or how it looks, you can get something out of it, but I don't really use it. So yeah, then the pouch is quite nice. It's a blue velvety one. So yeah, I don't, it's just, it kind of just, it's just in my cupboard, and I never use it. Just like this one. I was excited for the Centennial edition, because I was like, finally a color version for the, like the deck that I actually like. So I can finally start working with the original one. And I kind of like the size. I didn't want to get the full size one. I have some tiny hands, so pocket editions work well for me. And the yellows are still not my favorite, but out of the available ones, when I was getting this one, this was the one that I really felt like, okay, I can work with it, and I really like the backs. But ever since that happened, let's see if I can put this one back together. Ever since that happened, Low Scarabia released our vintage, and this I love a lot more. I mean, this one looks really nice. I know it's the same. Some people, said that there's too similar the cards, and if you look at two cards and they look different, it's because they were flipped. So there could have been more variety on the parchment paper aspect of these cards, but I still love this one so much better. So I have something that I pull out, even though I like the size of it. I have other smaller decks that I can use in big spreads. I recently got the pocket edition of the Wide Unknown, which is great for that. So I don't necessarily need to keep this one for this reason. And the other one is I started working on my Galaxy RWS, which is going to be a Galaxy themed RWS. I'm probably halfway through the deck now. I'm almost done with all the cups. I have at least 5 cards from each suit and 5 majors. So I'm hoping, I mean, the deadline that I put for myself is around August to get all the decks that I want to release in the shop in the next upcoming few months. So, you know, I can have the prototypes coming in and make necessary videos and promo stuff for them. So I will definitely have another Ardeverse deck, and that's gonna be my own with, you know, my kind of galaxies. So even this one will take a back seat because of that. So this might after a while will be going because I will have my own. So, you know, like, is there a point of keeping the tiny one when I already know I will have another one that I will like more? Because, you know, I made the galaxies as well as I wanted them to be, you know. So another one, which is kind of funny. Because who needs one that was, you know, the Terror of the Abyss? Who needs a deck that someone else colored? If you know anybody, please do let me know. Because this was definitely a placeholder deck. I wanted something from Anna that was, you know, available and accessible, and with this sharp kind of art style, because the Echoes deck is, even though that's, you know, watercolor and beautiful and whatever, I'm not connecting with that one as much as I loved how the Bone Stone looked. That's a deck I wouldn't want for various reasons, but there's gonna be an Arthurian deck coming out, which means at some point I can have her, you know, beautiful watercolor illustrated artwork. And if I have that deck, which I plan on somehow getting at some point, I'm just never gonna use this one. Plus, ever since I colored it, I never pulled it out. It kind of feels like, even though, you know, I really like most of the cards, there are some that I'm like, could have been better, but I like this Temperance a lot. The Four of Swords was one of the earliest one, and that's one of my favorite ones. I've seen some people, you know, coloring cards pretty similar to how I colored, which is kind of interesting. I would, you know, like to know if they saw mine before they did it, or if they're just coming, you know, in a very similar way out of people. You know, like, I know this could be weird for some people. So, you know, I don't even know if anybody would want a deck that was not colored by the original artist, but for, you know, just some random people on the internet. Yeah, so, and I completely messed up even one of the cards, which is like, you know, a big what? So this might just be a deck that I will have because I really like this Five of Swords. I love the colors of the birds and stuff like that. Because why not? But I kind of feel like the deck reached its purpose when I went through it and I colored it. I can't explain it. It was like waiting for something else to happen, you know. It's unfair to the deck because it's a great deck. And, you know, if it would have been colored, I wouldn't even had to think about keeping it or not. But my mind was constantly screaming at me like, I need color, you know. And I'm not kidding, I spent time mentally and I couldn't stop myself coloring in the cards when I was doing readings. So, you know, that pulls you out from a reading, which is not a good thing. But yeah, I don't know. We will see. Like, maybe I should turn it into some art projects or something. Another one is, I know, the Spacious Tarot, which is, it's a beautiful one. It's one of my only indie decks. I edged mine to pink. I wish I would have edged it to green, but there's too late for that one. And I love the artwork. I'm not saying I don't. It's simple. It's supposed to be, you know, like the one where you feel like you can step into the card or something like that, which I never feel. those kind of things when people mention, I'm like, I never feel that, which is like weird. So it's a very simplistic deck, but it's really nicely done. And I was obsessed with getting this one when I was, getting it. And I hope, the light is still good. Oh, and, the sun was like, okay, I'm gonna hide behind a rain cloud. But to be honest, I haven't had this one out for more than a year now. I think I only used it, I think I used it last spring. And even though this deck has my favorite High Priestess, which I won't be able to show you, I don't think so. Or maybe, and the Two of Pentacles, I love this one. Cards were heavily featured in my all-time favorite deck, which I did at some point, when I went through... Here's the High Priestess. When I went through all my decks and I picked my favorite cards from each of the deck. So there are cards that are like these I love, but I do not use this deck. And again, should I hold on to a deck that I don't use just because it was expensive, just because it's not an easy thing to replace, just because I really wanted it at some point, just because I have a few cards that I love? So yeah, I do not know what to do with the Spacious Tarot. Advice always welcome. And we might be done, actually. Oh, okay, so I kind of thought that there was another deck, but nope, these are the decks. Yeah, please give me advice. What would you do if you were me? Would you keep all of them and just come up with a way to work with them? Or if you don't feel, connected to a deck, do you get rid of them? What do you do with them? So, especially if you, colored a version, what would you do with that? But yeah, thank you so much for being here. Hope this was interesting and see you in the next one. Bye.